Hey everyone, it's CJ at DD Thrive 11 here with my 17-month lock update video. I'll just stick to there are only a couple of physical changes that have taken place in between the time of this and my last video. And so that should be pretty short, but I also have an announcement a little bit towards the end. So please stay tuned for that. Now diving right in, I forgot to mention in my previous videos that I actually combined another set of locks, and I put a clip here left over from my retwist last night so I could easily find it, because it's really difficult for me to find particular locks that I would like to talk about. So here they are, and you can see where they fall in my head of hair. Now, the reason why I combine these two particular locks is because one specifically, it has a similar issue with this one on the front that I've mentioned before. I believe it's right here. So yeah, I believe I mentioned how this one on the front was pretty thin. I showed you guys just how sparse that is, how sparse it looked without being retwisted. And so I'm going to give you a close-up of this particular root later on. But let me finish with these ones. So one of them in particular felt particularly weak. And I also know why, because when I was trying to, this is within the first 2 months of my lock journey, I remember, like I mentioned, some of the locks at the edges actually felt particularly weak, which was very worrisome for me, because the edges is where we get the brunt of, environmental effects, etc. Hence, there's like the issue with thinning, particularly as your locks get longer, and if you, use products, they'll be a lot heavier, etc. But even just with gravity, just with gravity, locks they'll acquire some weight, just like with loose natural hair, how people talk about their curl pattern changing as their hair gets longer, when it's just actually the effect of like gravity and the weight, and just seeing more of the curl pattern and stuff like that. So I know that there's a particular issue with that with locks with edges. And so I had actually taken a bit of hair from the most bottom one of this combo, and combined that bit of hair to one of my edged ones, which I ended up, I think, just combining anyways. And I remember thinking, when I had even combined them, that ooh, I don't know, this is kind of thin, maybe I should just combine the whole lock. But I was all about numbers and my idea of how my head of lock should be, so I didn't. And also I just was like, okay, but it's not at the very edge, so it should be fine. I didn't feel that way after the previous time I had locked, or maybe two, not locked, retwisted, or maybe two retwist sessions ago. And also I felt another one that actually they're not that conveniently placed or like near each other. So it forms a kind of interesting, weird combination here. And so you can see there's even probably a lock section that sits almost in between, like they're kind of crossing over two other locks or lock bases on my scalp. And I was just like, I don't care, because those are the ones that are the weakest, and I'm not going to. I think that's the tricky thing with having diamond parting. The diamond parting system is that, or like, I don't know if this is a particular issue when box parting, and not the just inline box parting. I'm talking about the one where it's windowed. Like, let's say this one's here, this one's on top is here, so they fall in between each other. The locks fall in between each section. And I don't know if it's an issue with those ones, but with diamond parting in particular, I've noticed, and this is early on, that if you switch or shift something with one section, it does affect the others. And if you're someone who is very particular, and or you feel you might be particular with your locks, and you really want to have a grid pattern that will be really nice whenever you do styling, then I highly recommend that you go to someone who really does know about locks and sectioning and stuff like that, so you can really discuss like the sizes that you want in particular, so that you don't face like the need, or the need to combine and separate and all that stuff in the future, if that really is important to you. So anyways, after the sidebar. But yeah, so that's why I combined those, because they both felt particularly weak. Considering already the size of the locks and stuff, I just was like, I'm just going to combine these two, and hopefully my hair will sort itself out, because that seems to be what it's doing anyways, like doing its own thing. Now with this one, I've been so busy I haven't actually been good about like keeping track of what I mentioned in like previous videos and rewatching videos and stuff, but I'm just going to give you a close-up of what, and I hope this is the right one. Is it this one? Or nah, it's actually this one, right? So of what that particular lock, if you can remember, or like, you know, tune back to that particular video where I showed you guys just how thin it was. Now look at how much it's filled out when I take the hair that was around it, because the thing with my edges is that they grow in like really, really slow. They grow in far more slowly than any other part or section of my head of hair, and that, and particularly in the front. And I had noticed this from like way back when I was loose natural, and like even in undergrad. You know, it was this frustrating thing. I'm like, why does this area of my hair, like the front, does not grow, or it takes so long? So the hair, and like on my front edges, does not particularly grow into the lock, and also at particular sections it's just so short that it just ends up being this little bush around, or like in the section. So I just took all of that hair and wrapped it around the base, so you can even see the different gradation in thickness, how like my locks have started that thick right here, and then look at as it's progressed and the base. So that's an interesting thing that's happening in various ways all over my head of hair, and it makes me kind of like, it's like kind of off-putting, but then also makes me kind of curious, even more so about like how my locks are going to look once I even reach my 2-year mark, you know? The second thing that has been like, whew, such a godsend for me with my locks and dealing with my locks is I remember in my 15-month lock update I had mentioned that I wanted to try something, and I was going to give you guys like the feedback and come back later after I'd done it for a while. Well, I actually ended up not doing that because for some particular reason, when I was watching Angela Elaine's Talk Tuesday about moisture in locks, there's something that she said that wasn't even really in the overarching topic of moisture that struck me, and I just decided to take it upon myself to do this exercise of actually washing, not just like the water rinsing that I dubbed earlier in my journey, but like washing my hair on a weekly basis and being really diligent about that. And I don't know why it stuck out to me. Like, she didn't say or recommend that at all. She just said, like, you know, what we usually know is like if you wash your hair more, then your hair will lock faster. And it just, you know, peaked something. It just like felt like there was a highlighter across what she just said. And I was like, why don't I just try washing my hair every week? And I did this past month. And what I have to say is that, like, I noticed that my issue of my, like, the loose strands, because you know, my locks are fuzzy. Your moment's coming up. My locks are fuzzy, and they tend to like tangle on each other very quickly, especially at the base. It would be to the point that like I would really feel like I was like ripping so many strands, like way too many strands just to separate locks when I'd retwist. And this was not happening as much this particular month. So when I noticed that after the second time I washed my hair, I was like, oh my, am I dreaming, or am I like not finding too many locks, just like trying to combine and form new locks in my hair? And even just the body of the lock, the hair shaft, not too many of them were tangling in on each other either. I do not know why that is, but I'm quite happy about it, and I will continue. But so I'm really excited about this, because for those of you who are also having an issue with, you know, very fuzzy locks that are just like combining on each other, and you're trying to and you're the kind of person with the kind of personality where you actually do want to space out your retwists 2-3 months at a time, try washing your hair once a week, like diligently, and see if that actually shifts things in how your hair is tangling up on itself, your locks are tangling up on themselves, because it really helped me. So I will continue to keep you updated on that. But so far what I've noticed is that, and also like my hair is back to, like, I just washed and retwisted it last night, and it's still pliable and soft and everything. Like, you know, it's not, I'm not saying that it's like, ooh, baby soft or whatever, like loose natural style, but like definitely nowhere near as stiff as the time I, like what my hair was after my last retwist, my previous retwist. And it's just like more along the lines of what I noticed after washing my hair, freshly washing my hair. But the reason why I bring it up is that I noticed that it has lasted longer. And this is without me spraying that much. I actually have not sprayed my spritz on my hair since I retwisted. And usually I would, but but I've just like noticed the past couple of times with washing my hair that I haven't felt or had the desire to. And my hair's been fine. So that's something to note for everyone else. I still had particular issue with itchiness over this past week. But like, yeah, it's been fine. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention, which is why I said, oh, you'll have your moment, is this is the shampoo that I have been using for, sorry, the light is what it is right now, I'm making do. It's called, it's Ologies Peppermint Pure Castor Soap. And I just purchased this as a budget replacement for, you know, Dr. Bronner's. So either Dr. Bronner's or that, that's been working fine for me. And of course I do the same thing, even though my hair is a lot longer and thicker and all that jazz. This stocking cap is still managing to keep up. Quite proud of it. And so I'll put it in a stocking cap and then wrap it in my like t-shirt, and cotton t-shirt, and that'll be it. And also in washing my hair, especially since I've been washing it like more frequently, I really do focus on just putting the soap in my hands and, like, you know, doing this above my head and then going in with my finger pads, and not like with my nails, but like my finger pads, and really focusing on cleaning my scalp. And now moving on to my announcement, which is, so as if you've been following me for a while, you know that like my upload schedule has been really inconsistent, and there's been a lot of things going on with technology and stuff like that. And to just be honest, it's just been going through, you know, a lot in my life. And this particular year there have been like too many shifts to really like be focused. There's just been so much detracting and distracting from my attention, and it's brought up a lot of things that, and topics, and one, like, you know, under the umbrella of something that I would really am passionate about, and I'm passionate about addressing and bringing forth on YouTube. And so I'm going to be still updating on my locks and stuff, because that isn't to say that I'm not passionate about tracking my lock journey and stuff. It's just the way in which I'd like to track it, as well as how what I'm learning on my lock journey is influencing me and my life. And there's just I'm a broader and deeper thinking person, and so a lot of things in my life and in my view are so interrelated that I'd like to just really bring up dialogue about them. And I currently feel like I don't know, unbeknownst to me, put myself in this box of like I can only talk about, you know, locks in a certain way and stuff. But yeah, all these things that have been going on this year, and especially this past fall into winter in particular, they've really gotten me thinking about how I'd like to broaden the scope of this channel. And also I am happy to say that I am starting a particular, like, a new journey and a new chapter of my life, and that's also something that I would like to bring forth and make a part of this channel. So I just say that as like an announcement for what is to come, and that I'm planning on, you know, sharing with you guys. But it'll still include, and under this umbrella, like things like my lock lessons and musings, I'm going to call them lock lessons / musings, really fall into this, because those that's like kind of like the realm that my mindset naturally goes towards. When even with physical things and physical shifts in my life, I'm always thinking about like, there are some things that, like, for instance, I notice how, you know, like how my locks just are doing their thing, and that makes me think about particular way in which I approach life, you know, and in multiple facets, not just in locks and how I view my lock journey, but also how does this thing apply when I was dealing with this issue at work, or when I was dealing with this issue with a friend, and how does it influence how I then improve upon my life, etc. So these are some of the things that I want to bring forth. And so with that, I'm just gonna like, and it'll also like help in, I think, and understanding like even the name of my channel, all that stuff. So yeah, that's the shift that's gonna be that is impending, and I don't have any sort of like date assigned right now, but those are things to be looking forward to. And I'll try to like organize things on my channel more easily, so you'll know, like, if you want to just know about, you know, my lock updates and stuff like that, you know exactly where to go. You know, a lot of people are doing that, so it's nothing that's brand new or anything like that. But I'm just saying that I'll try to make it easier to adjust to this transition. And yeah, that's kind of it. It's just like, it's been a very raw time, and so even with those videos, just like with, you know, my earlier videos, they'll like a lot of it would just be like unedited, because that editing and all that stuff, and that influences my uploading time, and even just like my tendency to even shoot. I'm like, oh shit, I won't be able to like even put in all this work, let me just leave it till later, you know. So it would just be a little bit more raw, and hopefully honest, because that's a penchant that I like to have as a person. And I think, and yeah, there'll be a lot more me stumbling on words because I talk so fast and stuff. And yeah, just a little bit more unapologetic, hopefully. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And with that, I really hope you enjoyed the holiday season. I'll be using it to reflect a lot, because a lot has happened this year, and there just need to be a lot more improvements made, you know. So yeah, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next year. All right, Happy New Year.